Dear Baobab, written by Cheryl Fogo, illustrated by Quinn Lamb. On a wide street in a city surrounded by low, rolling hills, a little spruce grew under a mailbox and a red brick house. The boy who lived in the house liked to sit on the stone steps beside the tree and listen to its voice. It sounded like someone singing his name, Meiko. Meiko missed the giant baobab trees in his village in Africa where he was born. He missed sitting in its shade eating cashews with the other children, who seemed not to notice that his ears stuck straight out from his head. But Meiko didn't live among the baobabs anymore. He lived in a low brick house now. He lived in a red brick house now with Uncle Peter and Aunt Aja. Sometimes Uncle Peter and Meiko would walk to the forest of the tall fir trees. Meiko would tip his head back and look up, so far up, and still he couldn't see the treetops. Uncle, he would ask, how old are these trees? Oh, about 400 years old, Uncle Peter would answer. Then, as though he knew what Meiko was thinking, he'd smile and say, not as old as your baobab. Meiko's favorite baobab was more than 2,000 years old. When this old baobab was a baby, his mother would used to joke with him, that tall mountain over there was just a pebble. One morning, as Meiko sat in the fragrance of the little spruce, Uncle Peter joined him on the stone step. Uncle Peter, Meiko asked, how old is this tree? Oh, about 7 years, he replied, then paused. What a strange place for a tree. He cupped Meiko's chin and went into the house. After that, Meiko would say, hello, tree, same age as me, on his way out and on his way in. Sometimes he sat on the steps and shared secrets that he told to no one else. He talked of his village and the baobabs. He talked of how he talked he and how he missed his friends at school when he had gone where he had gone after his father and mother died. He told of how lonely he felt as the wind blew him across the wide ocean in an airplane, and how strange it was at first to sleep in the red brick house. But now, he said, I fall asleep looking at the baobab that Aunt Aja and I have painted on my bedroom wall. Meiko told the tree about his new school and about the boy, Leonard, who laughed at his ears. As weeks passed in the city surrounded by low rolling hills, Meiko learned many things from the spruce's song. He learned what it was like for a tree to have roots that sipped water hidden far beneath the earth, and how it felt to drink the sun and listen to the melodies of the chickadees that sheltered in its branches. He learned how a tiny seed from a cone could float away and plant itself in the earth beneath the mailbox. And he learned that his ears were good, for only Meiko could hear the little tree when it sang. One day, Meiko heard Uncle Peter and Aunt Hagia talking in the garden. Something will have to be done. It could crack the foundation. And then, what a strange place for a tree. The wind sighed, and Meiko felt sad, for the little tree had been planted in the wrong place. Aunt Aja, he asked that night after story time, what is a foundation? Bones. The foundation holds up our house, just like your bones hold you up. She switched on his nightlight and slipped away, leaving Meiko staring at the outline of the baobab in the near dark. Each day that when he came home from school, Meiko was relieved to see the little tree still in its place beneath the mailbox. Then night began to come earlier, and leaves from other trees fell, resting in the branches of the spruce. For his first Halloween, Aunt Aja invited Lee, a boy from Meiko's class. Lee was a wizard. Naoko was a Baobab, made from a box, 27 pipe cleaners, and green construction paper. Lee taught him to shout trick or treat. On the street, they saw Leonard, and he laughed and pointed at Mayoko's ears. Mayoko said, I wish Leonard wouldn't laugh at my ears. But then Mayoko remembered that his ears were good because he could hear the spruce's song. One day, as the last of the brown crunchy leaves swirled around his feet, Mayoko came home from school and found an axe and a saw laying on a stone step. He hid them in the dark place behind the shed, then sat down beside the little tree. I want you to grow so tall that you can see across the ocean to my Baobab and tell her hello for me. The spruce quivered. Please grow your roots away from the bones, Mayoko said. That night, as they ate dinner of agya and stew, Aunt Aja was cross with Uncle Peter for leaving the cutting tools outside for the whole world to steal. Though Mayoko excused himself and went to bed, he did not sleep. The next morning, his heart felt gray. He listened, but could not hear the singing from the spruce. As the wind blew colder and the days passed, Uncle Peter and Aunt Aja seemed to have forgotten about the axe and saw. At school, Mrs. Croft taught the class songs about things Mayoko didn't know, like skates and snow and sleigh bells. Mayoko made sure to sit near Lee in the music room, far from Leonard. One day in December, on his way back from school, a cold white jewel landed on Mayoko's eyelash. He blinked. Many soft jewels were falling. When Mayoko tried to touch them, they disappeared. He ran toward the red brick house, but stopped when he saw Uncle Peter and Aunt Aja on the stone step holding a new axe. They waved, smiling. Aunt Aja called, The little spruce will be our Christmas tree. Mayoko ran. He raced along the wide street and down the hill, past the forest and up the other side. Mayoko flew. His ears were cold, but he didn't care. He hated his ears, and he hated the snow and the walls in his room and the songs about sleigh bells. His mouth puffed small clouds. Mayoko wondered how long it would take to run to the ocean and how long it would take to cross, get back to home to Africa, there where no one laughed at his ears, where he knew his Baobab stood, strong and wide and safe. Although Mayoko was young, in his heart he knew many things. He knew that the tree could not do what he asked it to do. He knew it was wrong to hide the axe and saw. He knew what it meant to be small and planted in the wrong place. Soon, Uncle Peter found him. They walked together, their footsteps muffled by the snow. After a time, Uncle Peter asked, Why didn't you tell me how you felt about the tree? Mayoko could not answer. As though he knew about the bubble of sad feelings Mayoko held inside, Uncle Peter said, It's a serious thing to feel that you don't belong. He looked down into Mayoko's eyes and said, It will get better, nephew. They walked on. Uncle Peter stopped and cupped Mayoko's chin. We won't cut down the tree, he said. But what about the foundation? Mayoko asked. We will find the answer. Mayoko felt his sadness bubble burst. He told Uncle Peter about his dreams were filled with baobab trees. And he told him about Leonard. The ebony curtain was falling as they told as they talked about Leonard and things they could do. By the time they reached the wide street, stars were winking above. Mayoko's ears opened. He could hear the trees singing his name. Just before Christmas, Mayoko helped Aunt Aja bake cookies shaped like Baobab and spruce trees. And on Christmas morning, Lee, in his new skates, pulled Mayoko on his new sled along the frozen lagoon near the forest. They saw Leonard. He did not laugh at Mayoko's ears. The warm spring day of Mayoko's 8th birthday, he sat on the stone step waiting for Lee and his father to come in their truck. Mayoko told the tree his favorite story about the day he and Uncle Peter found the birthplace forest. People plant trees on their birthday. You will be my tree, Mayoko said. You'll like it. Oh, you will grow so tall. You will grow so tall there, taller than the tallest tree in the forest where you were born. Mayoko heard the truck. Uncle Peter, he shouted. They're here to help us move my tree. Mayoko looked at the little spruce. I will come see you often, and when I do, I'll say, hello, tree the same age as me. And then he whispered, you see, we can't always grow where we were planted, but we can still grow somewhere else.